Hello, this is Roy Furr here for another Video Friday issue, and this is actually take two on this video, so hopefully all the technical stuff will work right, and I can be all about delivering you value here, again, in this Video Friday issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. So what I want to talk to you about today is how meetings suck, and actually they don't need to. I have started using a few months ago a meeting agenda out of the book Traction by Gino Wickman. And that's what you see in front of you is my cheat sheet, my agenda for running these level 10 weekly meetings, as they call them in the book, on a weekly basis with my coach, Joseph Rodrigues, to push my business forward. And Joseph built and sold his own business and now runs a coaching business for other entrepreneurs. And he says that these are the best meetings that he has ever been a part of. And he works with some of the best entrepreneurs in the direct response space that, if I were to name the names, I would certainly be speaking out of turn. But if I were to name the names, these would be people that you would recognize and respect. And he says that our meetings every week on Friday morning are the best run meetings he has ever been a part of. So here is the agenda that we follow. And I'm going to run through this quickly. There's a lot of detail here. And if this is compelling and exciting to you, I encourage you to read the book Traction by Gino Wickman, because it goes into a ton more detail on these and helps you actually implement them in your business, as well as helps you implement everything behind them. So it starts with pre-work, and this is what you need to do before the meeting to be ready for the meeting. Number one, you need to establish your company's quarterly rocks, which are your big goals for the quarter, to help move your business forward, and have your rock sheet created and ready for the meeting. The rock sheet is the one-page reference of what your quarterly rocks are. And then you need to have your scorecard complete. As part of the Traction system, you are tracking important metrics in your business. And my important metrics involve things like cash flow, cash on hand, productivity. I track my hours spent on different projects and different numbers like that. Also, things like membership count for BTMS insiders and monthly recurring revenue. Those sort of things are critical to track on a regular basis, and they are tracked daily and show up as weekly trends on the scorecard. Issue solving track understood by everyone. This is just a framework for what it is that will be applied later in the meeting, and I will get to that when we get there. It's referred to here as IDS often, which is the system that Traction uses to address and solve issues in a business. Check previous meetings and comments, previous meetings ratings and comments below, and address reason for previous low ratings at the beginning of meeting. So this is supposed to be a level 10 meeting. That's because you're supposed to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. How effective and efficient and useful was the meeting that you ran? And so at the end of every meeting, we actually rate it. And if there are any issues that have come up in the previous meetings, like tangents, and we even track down to were we using filler words, because that's something that we want to perform this meeting at the highest level. And even something as simple as getting lost in saying and ah a whole bunch can take the meeting off track. And so we want to be able to eliminate that so that we can just focus on packing in as much useful time in the meeting as possible. Send meeting agenda, previous to-dos, IDS issues list, and reasons previous meetings did not get a score of 10 prior to the meeting. Just an email that goes out to make sure that we're all ready for the meeting. And then segue. You arrive early and ready and start the meeting promptly. If you are serious about accomplishing this meeting and getting the most out of it, you're going to start it on time. And I should note here that this is 5 minutes, that the way that this meeting is structured is actually for a larger team. For Joseph and I, since it's one-on-one, we actually pack this same process into 60 minutes. And so we take a little less than 5 minutes when it says 5 minutes. But the meeting itself is structured to be able to run with the executive team of a much larger company. In fact, I know multiple businesses that are in the 7-8 figure range that are running Traction as their primary entrepreneurial operating system. And they run these meetings with their management team. And then also individual departments can run level 10 meetings to address, to stay on track for the week, every week, to achieve their quarterly and long-term goals. So arrive early and ready, start the meeting promptly. Everyone has a copy of the agenda, including to-dos and the IDS issues list. We'll get to the issues. Everyone shares personal and professional good news. So we just start off on the right track by everyone shares a little bit in the meeting. This is something that I've added recently. Consider whether outsourcing is valid. This is just a reminder at the beginning of the meeting to think about this and bring it up through the meeting because there wasn't an additional place. It's not part of the normal Traction system. And then we start reviewing items. We start by reviewing the scorecard. Those are the critical numbers in the business. We review the scorecard numbers for the week. And if there are any numbers that are not on track, meaning that you know, in my case, if productive time has fallen off, or if there's some cash flow things or something like that, anything that's not on track, we add it to IDS. And then we move to ROC review. These are the big quarterly goals that are going to move the company forward towards its short-term and long-term goals. Our company ROCs on track or off track. If they're off track, we add them to the IDS list. That's just the list of issues. We'll get to that in just a moment. Our individual ROCs on track or off track. If you're dealing with a team, both the company and individuals within the leadership team have ROCs, and so you're going to address those. If they are off track, you add them to the IDS list so the team can help solve those issues. If anything is on track but you want to discuss it further, again, just add it to the IDS. And then you transition into customer and employee headlines. So if there's short and sweet news about any customer or employee, or if there are issues for the week, either good or bad, then you just want to add them to the IDS. If it's something that needs to be discussed, you add it to the IDS. If it's something that you want to cover in greater detail, again, you just add it to your issues list. And actually, I use a Trello board for this, which you see here is a Trello board. And so the issues are showing up as cards on the Trello board. In other cases, you might be using it on a whiteboard or something like that. This just helps everybody know what's going on throughout the business. Next actions list. This is something that's generated by the IDS section. And so you're looking at the last week's next actions list, and you're noting whether or not the next actions that were planned that needed to get done from last week's meeting were done or not done. If there's anything, if the next actions were done, then you move them off the list. If they are not done, you must complete them within the next 7 days. The reason that you put something on the next actions list is because it needs to get done, and it needs to get done in the short term. And those should not go more than 2 weeks on the next actions list. It's a rule for this meeting structure to really work as you want it to work. And then you transition into the core of the meeting, the most important part, where you actually start solving the issues of the business that are coming up. And first and foremost, you want to make sure, so all throughout, I've been talking about adding things to the IDS list, adding them to the list, adding issues to the list, and that's all what we're talking about here. First, what you want to do is you want to verify that all the issues are on the list. So you use Whiteboard or some other visual tool. Like I said, I use Trello so that everyone is working on the same communal list. We do our meetings through Zoom, and so with those meetings, we just do a screen share, and we're both looking at the list on Trello. Included any carryover issues from the previous week. The nice thing about Trello is that those are just automatically stored in the system. If there's anything that wasn't addressed in the previous meeting, it is there ready for us to address then. Include all issues brought up during the meeting. So throughout the course of the meeting, I was talking about adding things to the list. This is, if you didn't do it already, you need to make sure that they're on the issues list. Ask team members for any additional issues, anything that hasn't been discussed yet. So again, you're just taking a moment before you really dive into solving issues to think, okay, do we have everything covered? Is everything here that we need to talk about? And then you prioritize the top 3 issues. Consider what is having or what will have the biggest impact on the company as a whole based on your quarterly rocks, based on your long-term goals. That's the VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer, that's part of the traction system. Basically, you want to prioritize, okay, what do we really need to address? What is either urgent or important or both? And you want to prioritize the top 3 because you may not have the time in any given meeting. If you honor the meeting schedule, which you should, you may not have the time in any given meeting to get all the way through all the issues that you've laid out. So you prioritize your top 3 issues, and then you IDS. That is, you make sure, number 1, you identify what the actual issue is. A lot of times we'll think about an issue, but it's not actually the issue. And so you want to make sure that you do identify and really make sure you're crystal clear on what the issue is that you need to solve. And by identifying that, you are making sure that you're solving the right problem. So the worst thing in the world is to think you have a problem solved, but you solved the wrong problem. And so all the symptoms of the problem keep coming back because it wasn't actually the right problem to begin with. And then once you know that you've actually really nailed down what that correct problem is that you do need to address, then you start to discuss it, and you go back and forth on potential solutions, how you can address it, what actions you can take. And then what you're looking to do is define a specific next action that's not just going to solve it in the short term, but that is going to prevent the problem from being an ongoing issue in the long run. And once you reach that point where you say, okay, I know what to do to solve this problem, I know the next action that needs to be taken, then you mark that problem as solved. You note down any next actions. Who needs to do it? What does done look like? What's the finish line of this next action? And what does doing look like? Is there any support that they need throughout the next action that it's going to take to solve the issue? And then once you have gotten through those top 3 issues, you prioritize the top 3 of the remaining issues, and then you're just repeating this process. Identify what the real issue is, what the real problem is, what's causing it, and then you discuss potential solutions, potential ways to deal with it, whatever they are. And then you identify the solution, the next action that's going to be taken, with the goal of getting a better result or resolving the issue. And then when time is done, you stop. When you're reaching the point where there's just 5 minutes left in the meeting, it's time to stop. And you carry over any remaining issues into the next weekly meeting. And then you reach the conclusion of the meeting. That's where you recap the next actions list. You recap what needs to be done by who, and what done looks like. Any communication that has to go out in the case, especially if you're dealing with a larger organization, you need to know who's going to send it out, who needs to be communicated to, how will the message be communicated. So you want to be crystal clear on any communication that needs to go out as a result of the discussions that have gone on in the meeting. And then you rate the meeting. You rate the meeting from 1 to 10 based on basically how well you followed this process. And the 2 things recently, as I mentioned, that have caused us to get lower ratings when we're running this weekly meeting is number 1, if we do go off on any tangents, as you're prone to do in a meeting. If you go off on any tangents, then you decide that based on the size of the tangent and how much it was disruptive to the process and the flow, you decide that earns you a lower rating. And also the other thing that Joseph and I have started rating is even down to the performance of the meeting, such that if you're using likes and ums and filler words, that's actually going to get us a slightly lower score, because we are constantly looking to improve ourselves, and I'm constantly looking to improve myself and my presentation. And even if I'm in the middle of deep thought, it is better to pause than get stuck in an that makes the core point that I'm trying to get across fall flat. And so you finish up by rating the meeting 1 to 10, and then you repeat this process on a weekly basis and follow the rest of the traction system. I'll make sure to include a link with this video. And by doing that, you are able to move faster in your business, get more momentum, you have more effective meetings that take you towards your desired outcome, your vision for your business. And I found that it's been transformative. It's been a big part of why I've been able to be so productive on so many critically important projects this year. And it's something that I'm going to continue doing pretty much forever. And in fact, there's a lot of local businesses who are very successful in my area who are all also following the traction system, and highly recommend it. And note that it's made an incredible impact on their business. All right, so with that, this has once again been a Video Friday issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. I've included the link to the Traction book with this video. If you're not signed up for Breakthrough Marketing Secrets yet, you can go to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com. I send out a daily essay to help you grow your business with ideas to grow your business. Many of them are focused on marketing, but the occasional one is like this, where it's focused on running a successful business, as well as bringing new customers in the door, generating more leads, more customers, more sales, and more profits. And so one last thing, if you feel like you've gotten value out of this, be sure to share it as well. That helps me know that you want more content like this. All right, so with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you again. This is Roy Furr with Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, and make it a great day.